All right, welcome back. We have our box. It's all ready to go and to start cutting our joints now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus in on the front, and we're going to cut the joints around the left and right side of the front. So to do that, I'm going to click on my Create Sketch button. I'm going to go here to the front and click on it. I'm actually going to come over to my Bodies folder. I'm going to turn everything but the front off, because it's just going to get in my way. Notice how now I have just a clean rectangle here. So to cut these, here's what I want you to notice. That on the front, so here's an example of a little front, you have a tab and a hole, a tab and a hole, a half tab. That's how we're going to create the front. I like having a little bit of a half tab at the top, and then hole tab, hole tab, hole tab. So basically we have the tab and the hole are the same size. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus, we have a little bit of bottom and a little bit of bottom. So when we have 3 holes, each one is like 1/6 the whole thing. So if you have 3 of them, it's 1/6. If you've got 5 of them, it's like 1/10 the whole width of the side. So that tells you how big each one is. So these are 1/6 this whole length. So we'll need that understanding in just a second. To do this, we're going to draw a little rectangle that we're going to use to extrude out all these little pieces of material here. So let's draw that rectangle first. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, come over here anywhere on the left side wall, and I'm just going to drag it out a little bit. And now I'm going to type in thickness for the top one, right? Oh, it didn't take for some reason. Thickness. Oh, I have to push enter, sorry. So once you do T for thickness, enter, it puts thickness in for you. And now I can tab down, and I can come here and I can say this one should be, now, this is where things get a little tricky. We want this to be a certain size. We're going to have 3 tabs on our, well, let's do it like this one actually. So this one has, which one's better? This one. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Let's do 5 tabs. So for each tab, we need a hole. So we need each rectangle to be not 1/5 of the height, but 1/10 of the height. 2 times 5. So we're going to do here the height. And watch this. We can let Fusion do the work for us. Divided by 10. Because we want 5 tabs. And then hit enter. And now it just drew that. So when you change the height, it's going to change the width of the tabs so that they spread it out evenly the whole way through, which is a really cool thing to have. Now I need to center this. So on this one, I'm going to have my first hole right here in the middle of the wall. So we're going to use the midpoint tool. I'm going to come down here and click on that. And then click on the long line. That puts this little line in the middle of the big line. Escape to leave that tool. I'm actually going to move this number down a little bit because it's going to be in the way in a second. And now what I want to do is create a rectangular pattern. I want to make the pattern of this all along this edge. So I'm going to come over here and create rectangular pattern. I'm going to choose zoom in this line, and that line. I don't actually need this line because these lines go right to the edge. So I don't need to actually do anything with that one. And I want to create a rectangular pattern that moves up and down this wall. Now, what this blue arrow tells you is the first 3 parameters. So these 3 boxes tell you what happens to the blue arrow. And these 3 boxes are telling you what's happening with the white arrow. So because we want the white arrow direction, we know we need to focus in on these lower 3 boxes right down here. So the quantity here, I'm going to have 5 tabs. I decided that already when I did that before. 5 tabs. And I want to make sure that this says spacing and not extent. So spacing means how far are they apart instead of the whole thing. You know what? Actually, hang on a second. Let me try this real quick. Give me one of those going to work. Let me do this real quick. Height. This might make life easier. I'm trying something new here. Yeah, that didn't work at all. I wonder why that didn't work well. Oh, I see why now. Okay, So we can't do it. I was hoping we could do it just by typing in height, and it's not allowing us to do that. So a lot of times with Fusion, as you're building experience, like you just try some stuff and see if it works well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So instead of doing it that way, we've got to do it by spacing. This is how far each one is from the other one. Technically, it's how far the one side is from the same side of the next one. So let's do this. We're going to do our distance spacing. We still need to define it based on the height. That way, if we change the height, we're not in trouble. It's going to be height divided by 5. I think the number of tabs, awesome. Now, if we try to do it divided by 10 like we did before, notice what would happen. Oh, they're all bunched together. Well, that's not what we want. So try 5 instead. So we're going to try other stuff. And that is just right. So it gives a nice 1 tab space between them. And it leaves a little half tab at the top. So I'm going to hit enter. That's going to draw it. Now, I can repeat that on this side, or there's this really cool tool called the mirror tool. So I can grab, to do a mirror tool, you need to set up what the midline is for the mirror. So I want to have all these little lines here reflected on this side. So I need to draw a construction line down the middle of this whole line here. So I'm going to go to the middle. I know it's the midpoint because see, it turns to a triangle. I'm going to draw a line down. It doesn't have to be all the way down, just to be like down a little bit. It could be actually really short if you want it to, it doesn't matter. And then the next thing I'm going to do is come up here to the mirror tool right there. And I'm going to click on, I want the lines that I want to mirror. I want to mirror this line, and this line. This one, and this one. So all 3 of those on each of them. And if I over-click something, like I click on this line, that's okay. I can just click on it again and it'll unselect it. It doesn't ruin anything. You don't have to start over. Although every once in a while I click on something, I can't figure out what I clicked on. So I do have to start over with the selection, which is all you do is hit an X here and it'll unselect all of those. So right now, one of the things that people select on a lot is they actually grab a corner or something. So now I have extra things, so I can just unselect that. It won't matter if you have it selected or not. It won't hurt anything. But right now I have 5 tabs, and I have 3 lines per tab, so a total of 15 lines I should have selected, and sure enough, I have 15 lines selected. Now it asks you where's the mirror that you want to reflect across, and it's this one. So I'm going to click on this for my mirror line, and notice it just drew it over here. And it did that because I put this line right in the middle of these 2 other lines. And then I'm going to click OK. Now it's drawn all of those. Now I'm going to cut these away. So I'm going to do extrude, and I want to have all of these little tabs cut away. And notice how even though my line doesn't go all the way down, it knows to go ahead and reflect them all as if the mirror went all the way down. Okay, so that's good. And now I need to figure out, okay, it's extruding this way. So I'm going to actually drag it the other way so it knows I want to cut. And instead of leaving this extra big cut out here, what I want to do is come down here where it says distance. And I want to do all the way through the object. And notice how it adjusted to be perfectly all the way through. The nice thing about this is if I change the thickness of the material ever, it's going to automatically cut all the way through that material, no matter how thick or thin I make it. So that's why I'm going to use that all selection there. My operation is cut. Everything is good. I'm going to click OK. We just cut the joints for the front. Now we need to make those same joints for the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all these, turn the back on, and the front off. And now I'm going to rotate around to the back. And I'm going to create and just do the exact same thing on the front. I'm going to do it on the back. So I'm going to grab a rectangle. That's the thickness. And that is going to be, we're going to do 5 tabs again. We're going to keep it consistent. So this is going to be twice that. So it's going to be the height, enter, divided by twice the number of tabs, because we need a hole and a tab. So each one needs to be the 10th. Enter. I'm going to grab my midpoint tool, click on my little line of my rectangle, and then the big line, and I'll put it right in the middle. Create rectangle. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to highlight the 3 things I want to repeat. That one, that one, that one. And I know the blue one is the first 3. I don't want those because I want to go up and down. So I'm going to focus on the last 3. And I'm going to make 5 tabs. And I remember from before that my distance should be set to spacing. And my distance should be the height, enter, divided by 5. And I look and I go, wait, that's messed up. I look at it and I'm like, hey, wait a second. They're all going, oh, they're all just going straight up. So all I need to do is do the one direction and change it to symmetric, which means spread them in 2 directions. And then everything looks perfect. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to grab my construction line for my mirror. I'm going to find the middle of this. There it is, the middle, because I see the triangles. And now I'm going to do the extrude to, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Cancel that. I'm going to mirror this across. Oh, but I made a mistake. That needs to be a construction line, so I'll change it to construction. And now I'm going to go and do the mirror tool. And I'm going to highlight all of these little lines here. This one, this one, this one. Oh, see, I just grabbed 2 corners and not the line itself. So I'm going to get that one, undo that one, and grab that one. So I've got 3 things selected, which is the right number of things I have selected. And then I'm going to grab that one. This one's weird because let me actually, I'm going to escape out of this. I'm going to undo what I just did. Hey, whoa. My little measurement line went away. I don't know where it went. There used to be a little measurement line that was in the way here, but now it's gone. But now I'm worried that maybe they're not the right measurement. I'm going to try and Control Z. There it is. Control Y to redo. There's my little measurement line. I'm going to pull it down here. See how confusing it is to have this like up here? Because it's drawing a line that's not really there. Like this little line is not an actual line. So I'm just going to drag it down here out of the way. All right, now I'm going to do the mirror tool again. Except I lost my construction line. Let me do that over again. To the middle. And that's all I need is that much. I don't need hardly any at all. And now I'm going to do mirror tool. And I'm going to select the things that I want to mirror, which is not that. I want to that one, that one. So being careful with your clicking is really helpful when you're doing all this little clicking. If you try and go super fast, you end up losing more time because you have to figure out what mistakes you're making along the way because you'll click on the wrong thing. So taking an extra second or 2 just to make sure you're clicking on the right stuff is the way to go. All right. Now I've got my 15 things, so 5 tabs, 3 lines each, 15 things selected. Click on my mirror line, tell Fusion that's my mirror, and it just mirrored them. Click OK. And now I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to click on just all of these, just like I did before. Again, I'm careful to click, but if I do over click and I click that, if I just click it again, it unselects it. So it's nothing to worry about, really. And look, it's going to try to extrude towards me, so I want to go the other direction to cut. And I'm going to change distance to all, and now it's cut perfectly through, and then just click OK. Now I'm going to turn my sides back on, and notice, I'm going to go back to my home view. My front and my back are cut. And it looks like even my sides are cut, but notice how there's like too many lines in here? It's weird looking. Let me show you why. So if I use M for move and I click on my front piece, I'm going to grab this arrow and drag it out of the way. That's why. Because I've cut the front and the back, but not the 2 sides. In the next video, so I'm going to cancel out that. In the next video, I'll show you how to go ahead and, actually, you know what? Let's just do it right now because it's quick. So we're going to cut the tabs or the holes into the 2 side pieces. To do that, instead of drawing a sketch and trying to line everything up, we're going to use the front and the back to do the cutting for us. Watch this. We're going to go to the Combine tool. And the combine tool has a cut and a join feature. You want to make sure it's on the cut feature because we're going to cut holes into the sides. And we're going to say the target body is the thing that you want to cut holes in or cut into. We want to cut the side. And the tool bodies are the things you're using to make the cuts with. We're going to make the cuts with the front or the back and the front. And the front. There it is. Good. And now notice that it's using the red part to cut the blue part away. So it leaves the place where there isn't anything and it cuts them. So it does it perfectly. Now the only thing you have to be careful about, if you don't have keep tools selected and you click OK right now, the red part, the front and the back, will then just disappear. They'll be deleted because Fusion assumes you built those just to make that cut. But if you want to keep them, just say keep the tools. I want them for, and we want those tools. So keep them. Repeat the same thing for the side and you're all done. Tool bodies are the front and the back, and then OK. And now when I hit M, I click on the front, I drag it forward, and now I have the tabs cut here and there. So super easy to do. Once you get the front and the back done, the two sides are easy. Now the same thing is true for the bottom. Cutting out the tabs on the bottom is going to take a lot of lining up of stuff. And then cutting the holes for the tabs along the sides and the front and back are going to be the combine tool and super fast. We'll do that in the next video.